Hello. Well, I just got out of the Faces of Death reboot. Um, Seems like I've been doing this a lot lately with what I've been watching and reviewing. But let me talk about the original one and maybe touch on the sequels. The original one to me, when I started getting more into like exploitation cinema and like more extreme horror, like when I was like 12 or 13, um, I thought some of that was fucking real. I did. Looking back now, because now I have a Blu-ray of it, which I think Vinegar Syndrome just released a 4K, which I may buy that. That'd be interesting. But um, when I first saw it, it was on a really shitty. It wasn't a tape because my video stores didn't have it. And when I was like 12 or 13, that's. No, I was a little older when video stores were going out of business. But, like, Blockbuster's not going to fucking carry it. Hate Blockbuster. We never went there. We went to Cinemagic and Hollywood Video to get our stuff because they had the good shit. Um, but it was a copy I found online actually, and it was low quality. It was obviously a VHS rip, and I swear to you, I thought some of that was real. Which, looking at the Blu-ray now, I know a lot of it's faked or stock footage. Like some of the animal stuff is real, like the chicken getting its head cut off, and like the beating of the seals. That's real. The dogfight's fake. They're actually just playing and they just threw blood on them and just cut it. Um, Obviously, some of the later stuff, like the execution, was fake. Um, the man who murdered his family, that's fake. I think that's fake. I don't know. I'd have to listen to the commentary again. The commentary is actually really interesting on the Blu-ray I have. I don't know who released that. I think I got it right when it was released. But yeah, I remember the monkey traumatized me because I thought that was real. Um, it's its urban legend, its reputation, its notoriety really surpasses the film itself. It really is because you can look at other stuff like there's like traces of death, which is actual real footage, like news footage or like police video, and the stuff you can find online now is real accidents happening or real assassinations or the beheading videos were one thing. It was you could find real stuff, which I don't watch that stuff. I don't find entertainment in that. But um yeah, so the original, I appreciate what it did. I appreciate the urban legend, and I appreciate how it was put together and presented, especially with the star of the show, Francis B. Gross. Gotta love him. Plus, it's narrated by a doctor, so it must be real. He could lose his license. Um, yeah, and Francis B. Gross was in all of them. I think. I don't really remember. I don't really remember the sequels that much. I actually own them. I have them somewhere here. I just didn't want to dig through my shit trying to look for it. But I own all of them, except for like the later ones, which I think were like 5 and 6. I do have this interesting one though. It was hosted by Anton LaVey from the Church of Satan, the founder and writer of the Satanic Bible, and he hosted something that was similar to Faces of Death. What the hell was that called? I own that somewhere. I think I have a bootleg of it. I don't even think I have an official copy. I think I bought a bootleg somewhere. But there were imitators of this. The Face of the Death got me into Mondo films, which on the surface, Mondo it's just not my genre really. But everybody has seen at least Face of the Death out of the genre. Maybe like Bruce and Savages, that one with Anton LaVey I was talking about, the Trace of the Death series. So the film does have a legacy. It's had its imitators. And I think Brutes and Savages didn't it have a narrator too. I don't. I don't remember. That was horrible. The alligator scene's funny, and I think it had a scene with like some animals fucking or something. I don't know. So there's some bestiality for you. But okay, now I'm going to talk about the reboot. There's some nice things I could say. I think the concept of it, of a internet like content advisor kind of deal, like where she goes, she approves videos. She either approves or denies videos on hosting sites and stuff like that. Like she scans them, and she stumbles across a beheading scene, which they do redo. It's about a serial killer that's killing people in the style of Faces of Death and reenacting the famous scenes from that movie. So she stumbles across one that she thinks is real, which is odd because she's seen other stuff, like people getting hit by a car and like a bus, and she approves that, but this is the one that really catches her off guard. It's very weird. But she thinks this is real. Nobody believes her, because everybody in this movie is fucking stupid. But I'll get into that. Nobody thinks it's real. They think she's crazy. And she's also known as the train girl because she was in a video, I don't know how many years ago. It never really said how long it was. But she was in a video where her friend and her sister or her, it was a friend or a sister, I can't remember. Because they never really, I think it was a sister. But they were like doing a dance, and then the sister fell and got smacked by a train. That was the video, and it got popular. People recognize her as Train Girl, which comes back a lot in this movie. So the concept of it, I like. If you're gonna reboot a Face of the Death series, this is a good way to do it. I have no problem with the plot of it. The killer in it is played by, I think, Billy from Stranger Things. I think his name is Billy. I never watched Stranger Things. I was just reading about it, like who that guy was. But I think it was Billy in Stranger Things. He did a fantastic job. He was really selling it. This weird serial killer kind of thing. Like, he was doing a really good job. So kudos on that. You got somebody that at least kept my attention. But man, the rest of the movie is just, oh my god. It was a hard sit. And you're in a theater, so you really can't do much. You know, I think I left in the middle of it to go get, yeah, I left in the middle of it to go get food. Because I walked in with just a drink originally. And then, no, I didn't even have my drink. I left twice. I left to get a drink like 20 minutes in. And then like maybe 20 minutes later, I went to go get popcorn and a hot dog. Because I was just bored and I was hungry. So, and I didn't miss anything. There was nothing to miss. Because it's just such a thin veiled plot anyway. Like a thin veil. There's nothing to support this good concept in this film. And just the characters are fucking stupid. They are so fucking stupid. The only way and the only reason that this killer is getting away with all this is because people are fucking stupid. And I hate to harp on that, but like, and I get it, it's a horror movie, people make dumb mistakes. No, the town is stupid. Like, it could have been more interesting, but then they kind of have an ending that kind of reminded me of, like, Silence of the Lambs, I guess? Like, where she goes and confronts the killer and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's sad. Maybe it makes me mad, this whole movie, because you have the concept. You have the villain. And again, I like the fact that the killer is reenacting things from Faces of the Death, because the original was faked. So And the reenactments he did were he did the beheading scene. He did he did the man that shot up his family. They did that. And all the other actors in it are mannequins. That's it. Except for like the people he's killing, they're all mannequins. So that was kind of cool concept. Reminded me kind of Maniac, but which isn't a bad thing, but it was cool. They did the monkey scene, but instead of a monkey, they used a human. So it was eating human brains. And what was the other one they did? Oh my god, I can't remember the other one they did. I'll think about it and come back to it. But the videos start going viral, and like this part was kind of funny. I kind of enjoyed this. There's a scene where like of people reenacting the videos, but they're fake. Like these kids are doing the bashing the skull open like with a watermelon and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of funny. Just because people fucking watch anything. Because you're stupid. But it's just it's such a disappointing movie. And it's man. It's just I didn't think it was gonna be this bad. With knowing that Faces of Death is fake, especially with like the more higher resolution versions we have now, where it's not like a really worn out VHS tape. We have Blu-ray, and like I said, Vinegar Syndrome just dropped their 4K of it. Again, may pick that up actually, because it's loaded with features and shit. That should be fun. But it's just they did the execution with the prisoner where they like tape up his eyes and shit. And one thing I do want to say, I never thought in my whole life that I would hear Francis B. Gross's dialogue, like his lines from the original Face of the Death, and also a video of Francis B. Gross, like in a theater. That was the coolest part of this whole thing. I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. And just, I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I kind of feel like I wasted my money even though I did a matinee. I went by myself, by the way. I kind of wanted a me day because I haven't had a day off in like 6 days. 5 or 6 days. So I kind of wanted a me day. I slept in late. Saw my friend for a second. I was selling her like action figure. And then I went to the movies, and it was a hard sit, man. It felt so long. I think it was like 98 minutes, but it felt its running time and then some. And also, it was weird for me. I've never seen a Shudder produced movie or a Shudder involved movie in the theater. So when they were going through the studio stuff at the front, the Shudder, the dun 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 dun. I was like, holy shit, I've never seen that in a theater. That's weird. Because we don't get a lot of the Shudder movies here. So, that was unexpected. Interesting, but unexpected. But the killer's motivation in this reminded me sort of like a Scream movie. Because his motivation was he wanted to, I guess, be known as like an internet celebrity to a degree. So he started reenacting Face of the Death. Because Face of the Death, I don't think I mentioned this, is a real movie in this universe. It's an actual movie. It's mentioned a couple times. Actually, it's mentioned less than the lead girl being called Train Girl, which is sad. But his motivation is like, remakes are good for the algorithm. And just, it reminded me of a damn Scream movie. I think I've heard this plot in a Scream movie. Like, remaking the original and getting fame from it. I think that was Scream 4 with Emma Roberts. I think that was her plan. So, it's not... I don't know. There's not much else I can really say about it. It was a disappointment because the concept was cool. Um, you have a good villain, but the writing sucked. I thought the acting was very stunted, except for the dude from Stranger Things. I thought he did good. Surrounded by stupid characters. Like, okay, here's the one where I knew everybody was fucking stupid. There's a scene where she gets kidnapped at one point by the killer, and she escapes. Okay, she goes to the cop's house and she's cut up. She's bruised. Like, you could tell something happened. They go to the house and he claims like, oh, she's just some crazy stalker, blah. And they believe him, not step foot in the house when there's a girl tied up, wrapped around in tarps that they could obviously hear. And then when she gets taken to the hospital, uh, she had earlier, when she escaped, she stole a hard drive from him as evidence. Now, one, when you got picked up by the cops, why didn't you say, check this fucking hard drive out? Look at this guy. He's doing something. Or anything, but she makes it to the hospital without showing anybody the hard drive. And then her cell phone goes off and she gets a text from the killer that says, like, hey, give me my hard drive back or 2 more people die or, like, whatever. And instead of showing the text to the nurse that's trying to help her, because she's also a drug addict, she pops a lot of pills and whatever. I just didn't like this lead either, but whatever. It's just a very selfish, fucking horrible lead. But she doesn't show the text to the orderly and say, like, hey, can you get the cops? Look at this. Look what he sent. Look what he sent. And she gets fired from her job as the content police because she left pills in there. That's fucking stupid. But that plot really doesn't even come up at all, that she's a drug addict. She's a functioning drug addict, and it doesn't really get addressed. I don't know why that was in there. I guess just a plot convenience so she can get fired. But that's beside the point. I don't know. Stay away from this movie. If you're curious, since it's a Shudder movie, it may be on Shudder here soon. I'm actually surprised this hit theater, because to me it didn't look like a movie I should be watching in the theater. You know? It was kind of like, but not in a good way. Like, when I saw Terrifier 2 and 3 in the theater, they do have a low budget quality to them, but they are bigger than life films. So it almost made up for the lack of quality, because each Terrifier movie gets better in quality because they get more money. So that's fine. That works. But this one was just shot kind of poorly. I do think the recreations of the Face of the Death things, like when the killer was doing his reenactments, I thought the copying the death scenes from Face of the Death, I thought that was done okay. Or maybe it's just because I haven't seen it in a while, but they shot it like those scenes from the movie. So I thought that was done okay. Or maybe it was the Francis B. Gross dialogue over it that got me kind of excited, because he's the best thing about those movies. Having to spew this fucking bullshit that doesn't really have any meaning to it. But that was Face of Death, the reboot. The original just got put on Tubi, if you're curious, but I do want to say a warning. The first segment of it is animal stuff. The pit bull is fake. The beating the seals and killing them are real. Chicken getting its head cut off is real. What else was there? I don't know, but there's something else there. But like I said, the first 30 minutes or so, there's animal stuff, so you may want to be aware of that before you watch it. Like, just skip past it. And also you have the monkey scene, but the monkey's fake. Now in high def you can see that. Golly, I remember that traumatized me as a kid, dude. I remember that was like, oh my god. they just don't make movies like that anymore, where the shock value and the purpose of the movie is to sell you a snuff reel. They just don't make that anymore. And obviously, I didn't think the remake was gonna do the same narrative as the original movie and its sequels, trying to show you real, try to present the deaths as real and do a narrative over it. I think that would have been redundant because there's many movies like that. That'd be stupid. And plus, you just can't fake it anymore. So I think, again, the concept I thought was a great idea, how to tackle the subject matter, but it's just poor execution, horrible writing, just golly. I will say this: I think it's worse than Strangers Chapter 3, because after I saw the Strangers remake, I'm just calling it the remake. I knew everything correlating to that new trilogy was going to be bad, and I expected it. This, I try to go in without expectation. I try to go in without having a lot of like hype for it. I was excited to see it, but it just let me down, man. So let me down. And I think because of that, because this was a movie I was excited that it came to my theater. I don't know if it's like how wide of a release it got, but it came to my theater, and it's just disappointing. Sad. So if you want to watch the original, just go to Tubi. It's on there. I saw that last night, actually. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. I didn't watch it. I ended up watching Silver Bullet because my mom didn't want to watch it, so... Because she already saw it. She's seen Face of Death, so she's like, I don't need to watch that crap again. But what is coming on the horizon? Well, I will explain something. I know there hasn't been a boxer tape in a while, and I've been kind of doing these reviews here and there. I was having a lot of trouble with my day job. Not gonna go into detail, but it really affected me outside of work, and really put me in a depression where I didn't want to do anything. And I just kind of loafed around because I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to, but it was a bad cycle there for a while. But I'm happy to let you know I'm back on it. There's a lot of movies coming out, so there's going to be a lot of reviews. New boxer tape, I'm hoping by next week I can do it. At work, I'm starting to get more hours again, which is good. But also kind of sucks because I try to do this. So, I'm going to try my best to get it out next week. And actually, next Saturday, I'm going to go see Saw the Musical. It came to Memphis. So I'm like, hell yeah, let's go see that. It sounds like fun. So we're going to go do that, me and my mom. Which my mom loves Saw. So, we've seen all the movies. So, that's what's coming up in the horizon. Like, share, follow. Tell your friends about us. And until then, see you next time.